Welcome, everyone. Let's take a journey together today, one that the scriptures themselves are inviting us on. We're going to explore one of the deepest desires of the human heart, and, as we'll see, of God's heart too, and that is the desire for unity.
But let's start with a thought experiment. Just take a second and really imagine this. What if you knew for a fact that the King of the entire universe was praying for you, personally, right now? What would that feel like? How would that change things for you? Just kind of hold that thought in the back of your mind as we go. I mean, let's be real. Our world so often feels like it's pulling apart at the seams, right? It's so divided. And deep down, I think we all have this hunger to belong, to feel connected. We're all looking for the strength to stand up for what we know is right, even when it's really, really hard. And today's readings, they speak directly to that hunger.
And that's exactly where our journey kicks off today. We're jumping right into a scene of intense conflict and some absolutely incredible courage, all centered on the Apostle Paul.
So, picture this. Paul's been arrested. He's standing before the Sanhedrin. This is the highest religious and judicial court of his people. The air is thick with tension. I mean, his very life is hanging in the balance here.
And in this make-or-break moment, what does Paul do? He makes this incredibly brilliant and bold statement. He doesn't just defend himself, nope. He goes on offense and proclaims the very core of his faith, the hope in the resurrection. And that one single sentence, it changes everything in the room.
See, you gotta understand, the court was already a powder keg of division, and Paul knew it. On one side, you had the Sadducees. They didn't believe in the resurrection, or angels, or spirits. On the other side were the Pharisees, who believed in all three. So when Paul basically says, hey, I'm with you guys, the Pharisees, on this huge issue, he just masterfully drives a wedge right between his accusers.
And his strategy works. Maybe a little too well. The whole place erupts into what the text calls a great uproar. It gets so violent that the Roman commander has to swoop in and rescue Paul because he's afraid the mob is literally going to tear him to pieces. Paul is surrounded by chaos and in mortal danger.
And then, after all that noise and violence and fear, in the quiet of the night, something amazing happens. The Lord himself stands right there beside Paul, and he doesn't promise him a quick getaway. He gives him something so much more powerful, his presence, and a direct command, take courage. It's just this incredible reminder that even when we're in the thick of it, we are never, ever alone.
So a courage like that, where does it come from? How do you get it? Well, to find the answer, we're going to turn to the responsorial psalm. It shows us the bedrock, the very foundation of that kind of strength. And it all comes down to trust.
The kind of courage Paul shows isn't just about being tough. The psalm for today, Psalm 16, it's like the key that unlocks the spiritual engine behind Paul's bravery. The whole thing is a prayer built on this foundation of just unshakable trust in God's presence and his protection.
It starts with this simple, powerful plea. It's basically saying, my safety, my hope, it's not in my own hands, it's not in my circumstances, it's in you and you alone. Now that is the heart of a faith that can get you through any storm.
And this trust, it's built on a whole series of incredible promises. The psalmist says, I set the Lord ever before me. Because of that, he can say with total confidence, with him at my right hand, I shall not be disturbed. He knows deep in his bones that God won't abandon him to death, but will instead show him the path to life. This right here, this is the fuel for real, authentic courage.
All right, so from that foundation of personal trust, we're now going to climb to the very heart of Jesus' mission. This is the spiritual summit of today's readings, his prayer for unity.
So now we shift to the Gospel of John, to one of the most intimate, breathtaking moments in all of Scripture. It's the night before he dies, and Jesus lifts his eyes to heaven. He starts praying for his apostles, and then he does something astounding. He expands the prayer. He prays for everyone who will ever believe in him through all of time. That means he is praying for you. He's praying for me.
And just listen to what he's praying for. It's not just for peace. It's not just for everyone to get along. He prays for something so much deeper, it's almost hard to wrap your head around it. He prays that we would be one as he and the Father are one. He's asking for us to be brought inside the very life and love and union of God himself.
And here's the thing we have to get. This unity Jesus is talking about, it's a supernatural gift. It's not something we can just manufacture on our own by being nice to each other. It's a real, living participation in the life of the Trinity, a divine life that we enter into at our baptism, and that gets deeper every single time we receive the Eucharist.
So the big question is,
What does all this mean for us? Right here, right now. Paul's courage, the psalmist's trust, Jesus' prayer. How do we take this from ancient text to our actual everyday lives?
Because this message, it's not just some historical account locked in the past. It's a living, breathing reality that's meant to be lived out by believers in every single generation. And if you want to see what that looks like in action, just look at the life of a more modern saint, Saint Christopher Magallanes.
Look at how these themes just weave together perfectly in his life. Just like Paul, St. Christopher showed incredible courage proclaiming the truth during a time of intense persecution in Mexico. And that courage? It came from a deep, profound trust, just like what we read in Psalm 16. It allowed him to face his own execution with peace. And echoing Jesus' prayer for unity, he spent his life strengthening the church and even forgave his own killers. What a powerful witness.
So how can we start living this out? Well, here are 3 really concrete things we can do starting today. First, if there's a division in your life, a broken relationship, take one small step toward reconciliation. Second, like Paul, speak the truth, but always do it with charity. And third, consciously join your own prayer to Jesus' prayer for the unity of his church.
So the invitation today is to let these words do more than just pass through your ears. Let them actually form you. Let the courage of Paul, the trust of the psalmist, and the unbelievable prayer of Jesus actually mold your soul and purify your way of thinking.
And that brings us right back to where we started, with a question just for you. Hearing Christ's own words, take courage. Where in your life, in your family, at your job, in your community, where is God asking you to be a courageous witness to his truth and his unifying love today?